me know.
Ask away, dog. I'm an open book.
All right, we're here. IB Radio. I'm Brandon. I'm here with Dillon. Um, so I guess my first question for you is, what first got you into boxing?
How much time we got,
Yeah,
dog?
I mean, yeah.
um, honestly, I never planned on getting into boxing at all. It was pretty crazy. The story that how it all unfolded. So I grew up in New York. Went to school in Long Island at a school in Oceanside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What part of
and
what part of New York?
so I grew up in Oceanside, New York,
Okay.
and I moved to Brooklyn after that.
Mm.
Yeah. And so when I was in high school, funny story, I actually got kicked out of high school for fighting.
Oh
For
shit.
fighting and, just getting involved in like, some dumb stuff, selling drugs left and right, all that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just a kid.
Wow.
But I got caught up, got kicked out of school for that. And, I was supposed to go to college, hopefully on a sports scholarship and all that. And, that unfolded. So after that, I figured, what am I supposed to do? So I ended up getting a job at like a Panera Bread.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, Brandy, you know me,
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
I can't work no like regular job like that. So I was depressed for the longest time.
Yeah.
And one day one of my old wrestling coaches walks in, orders some food when I was working there, and I call out the name, and I recognize the name. I'm like, Julio Flores, and he walks up to the thing to pick up his food, and he looks at me, he goes, "Damn." Right?
Yeah.
Because like I looked depressed, bro. At the time,
Yeah.
I had gained so much weight. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And he told me, he's like, "Dude, we got to get you back in the gym."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, you're right, you're right." And at the time, I couldn't afford no memberships or anything like that. I was pretty broke. I was living on my own. I'd gotten kicked out of home too. Like
Around.
it was a wild story.
So what? Around what age are you?
At this point, I was 16.
Okay.
At this point, I was 16. So I had gotten kicked out of home. I wasn't living with my mom and her boyfriend at the time.
Wow.
So I had to kind of figure out like what to do for myself and everything. So
Yeah.
I ended up moving over to Brooklyn with my ex at the time,
Mm.
and that's when I was kind of figuring everything out at that point. But I was working, like I said, I was working over at a Panera Bread, and when I was there, I was depressed and everything. My coach had come in, saw me, and he's like, "We got to get you back in the gym."
Yeah.
So he signs me up for like a regular workout gym, like almost like a 24-hour fitness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And underneath that gym, there was a boxing gym in the basement, right?
Oh, that's cold.
So they used to always have classes there, and I was always intrigued by it. I'd like walk in, I'd peek my head in through the door, just like look at it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was, but one day, this was after like maybe 6-7 months of going to the regular gym, I started to lose some weight. But
Yeah.
as you know, working out just regularly, you can only lose so much weight at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I peek my head in, I realized nobody's there, right? And when I realized nobody was over there, I was just like, okay. I walk in. There's some gloves on the floor. There's a bag there on the wall. There's a
Yeah.
bag there on the wall. I'm like, all right, you know what? Why not? So I put the gloves on. I start hitting the bag. I didn't time it, but I think I was there for about like 30, 45 minutes. And I didn't know like boxing rounds at the time, like time myself 3 minutes at a time, any of
Right.
that.
Right.
So funny enough, I'm hitting the bag, and I finish up, got a good workout. I'm drenched in sweat, whatever. I clean the gloves off. I clean the bag off, and as I'm walking out, I hear a door open, and I just hear, "Hey kid, come here." And I'm like, "Oh sir, I'm so sorry. I had no idea anybody was here. I apologize. I cleaned the gloves. I cleaned the bag.
Yeah.
I promise I won't ever do it again." And I'm about to walk out. He goes, "Don't worry about it. Come here." And I was like, okay. So I walked over. He goes, "You ever boxed before?" And I told him, I was like, "No, no, sir. No, I haven't." And he was just like, he's like, "Well, you should come on back, and I want you to take one of my classes." And I was
Wow.
just like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't really afford it. This isn't something that's like in the books for me. Like, it's nothing I can do at the moment. He was like, "I'm not asking for money. Just come back tonight."
So you must have been really. It must have been a talent there already.
Something like
For
that. He
you.
he must have seen something. He must have seen
I
something.
mean, did you kind of see that talent in you as well? I mean, getting into fights. I mean, can you
Right.
remember like your first fist fight or?
Dog, yes, I
Yeah.
can. I can actually. This happened in Texas. So I was born in Texas,
Oh, okay.
and then
Me
I
too.
moved to New York. Oh, no way.
Yeah,
No way.
Houston.
Oh, okay, bro. I grew up in Katy.
Oh, I grew up in Katy too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Yo,
yeah.
small world. That's
Hey, that's
wild.
fucking crazy,
Yo,
bro. I did
that's
not know that
crazy.
about you. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I lived in Katy for a bit. I was born in Mission. So shout out to RGV
Yeah.
956 if you guys are watching.
Yeah.
What's it called? But yeah, so I ended up moving up to Katy for a bit with my mom and my pops for a bit. But yeah, then we ended up going to New York. But yeah, small world,
Yeah, yeah,
small
that's
world.
crazy.
But
Yeah,
yeah, when I was in there, I never thought about boxing like that. I never looked into too much like, oh, this is what I got going for me.
yeah,
I was always an athlete growing up, playing soccer, wrestling, football, baseball, all that, and it was just something I guess the coach had seen in me. So when he told me to come back, I told him, like I said, I was like, I can't afford it. He goes, don't worry about the money. Come back. I was like, okay. So I left and I went home that day. And I remember I was back in my crib and my boys were over. And, we're all there. We're all little hoodlums. We're in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
bro, I'm talking to my boys and, we're rolling up some weed. We're smoking together. And I tell them, they're like, oh, bro, like, how was your day? What'd you do today? Whatever. And I told him about the story. I told him like, oh yeah, one of the coaches, I guess the owner of the gym, like wants me to come take a boxing class, and like I guess he, wants me to do it. And one of my boys, shout out to Maurice. I don't know if you remember this dog, but he looked at me. He goes, "Motherfucker, you ain't gonna be no boxer. You ain't got it like that."
That's so crazy,
Bro. It was the funniest thing, and I didn't plan on going back that night for real. Like I really didn't plan on going back,
Yeah,
but when he said that, like something just like it just flipped that switch. It
yeah,
just flipped that switch. It honestly just it made me want to do it. So I told them, I was like, you know what? Matter of fact, do me a favor, get out. And they're like, bro, it was a joke. Like it ain't even that serious. It ain't
kick
even
them
that
out,
serious,
kick them
right?
straight
Yeah.
out. Yeah,
I told him, I was like, matter of fact, bro, like no, don't even stress it. Don't even stress it. Just like I'm gonna take this time, think about it, and I want to go. Like, bro, like I'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll chill. We'll hang out. Normal.
right.
And that night, dude, surely enough, I go back, and it was the funniest thing, right? It was at a gym. It's called Atlas Cops and Kids, right? It's over there in Brooklyn. Shout out to Coach Sosa if you're watching this, dog. Appreciate you. But anyway, so I go back over there, and the first class you expect like, oh, like they're gonna teach me the basics. They're gonna
Right.
teach me a jab, cross, how to sit in my stance, like the normal, right?
Yeah.
Nah, I get in there, bro, and they're like, all right, so here's what you're gonna need. You need your gloves, your wraps, mouth guard, headgear, groin guard.
Oh, they threw you in
Bro, they threw
sparring
me
in the first
right
day.
in, dog.
Oh
But
shit.
not just with anybody either, bro. Like it
Yeah.
was the craziest moment ever, bro. So
Right.
I'm like, well, what's going on? What are we doing? Like, I guess this is part of boxing. Like, I didn't know I was sparring. I was just like, okay, I guess this is part of the gear, right?
Right.
So they're like, okay, hop in the ring. You're gonna go for at least 3 rounds, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, depending on how you do. I was like, what are you talking about? They're gonna be, you're gonna spar with Zab. And I looked over. I was like, Zab. I was like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Bro, I look across the ring. Zab Judah.
No
Bro,
fucking
Bro,
way.
Zab Judah
Bro,
is
what?
in this gym. You know Zab Judah, right, bro?
Hell yeah.
Zab Judah is across the ring. He was friends with the owner, bro. He was friends with one of the
Holy
coaches. So I guess
shit.
he was there. He was just trying to get some work in. I think he was still an active fighter at the time
Yeah.
before he had retired, unless he had already retired at that point. Regardless, Zab Judah, Hall of Fame boxer. If you guys don't know, Zab Judah, one of the best fighters in the world. He fought Floyd Mayweather, fought some of the biggest names in boxing.
That's the biggest fight that I remember him at.
Yes.
Because I'm the biggest Floyd Mayweather
Yeah,
fan.
bro, you and me
Yeah.
both, dog. You and me both. So
So how did you feel? How was that feel? Because it's not only your first day of boxing.
yeah,
They putting headgear on you. They're gearing you up. Because I know when I first sparred, like my first time sparring, like yeah, it's so different from a street fight because
Right.
it's that adrenaline going,
bro.
and you can just kind of swing for the
Absolutely.
fences. But when
Absolutely.
somebody is calmly,
Yeah.
telling you, and then
Yeah.
you're watching in the ring, people getting beat up by this dude.
Yo.
You're like, oh man. So I mean,
Right.
how was your emotions at the time? I mean, what did that feel like?
Bro, when I tell you that feeling was like one of the like scariest feelings in my life. Like understanding, yes, it's controlled, right? Like, we've got other professionals here, people to control the whole entire thing, for the safety of the fighters and the safety of us in the ring.
Right.
But, like you said, the first time, it's calm. They're just like, yeah, champ, we're gonna get you ready. They're wrapping my hands, they're putting the gloves on, they're getting me
sweet-talking
ready.
you, yeah.
Bro, yeah, they're sweet talking me like, yeah, it's gonna be good. Like, don't worry about it, right? Bro, my stomach was in knots. Like I was freaking out, but I didn't want to seem like a little bitch, right?
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
want to seem like somebody who couldn't do it. So I'm sitting there, I'm just like, all right, yeah, bet. Say less. I felt like I had something to prove.
Yeah.
right? So I was like, yeah, I got it, I got it. I ain't never sparred before, but I've been in a bunch of street fights.
Everybody's
Everybody,
yeah, that's how I
bro.
felt when I first saw. I'm like,
Yo,
oh no, I've dibbled and
yeah.
dabbled a little
Yeah,
bit.
I'm
Yeah,
undefeated in the
yeah,
streets.
all right,
Bro, it was
Yeah.
it was the most embarrassing 3 rounds of my life. Yo, and it's so funny because I still have pictures of after that training session. I was literally,
Wow.
bro, when I tell you my face, and I think I've shown you, babe. I think I've shown you. My face was just bloodied up, like
Oh,
bruised up, black
man.
eye, like busted lip.
Yeah,
And they told him not to hold back on me because I guess they wanted to see what I had in me and everything. And
yeah,
you know, throughout that entire 3 rounds, I'll say now, like one thing I did do that was good was I never stepped back. So growing up when I was wrestling, the aggression from wrestling, the athleticism that you build from wrestling. Shout out to Coach Flores, building a dog out of me in wrestling, but
yeah,
it was just natural instincts to just, obviously keep my hands up and just keep moving forward, right? The guy was bigger than me. He was longer than me. I didn't know what to do,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So like I got my hands up. I'm just walking forward. I'm walking straight into punches,
yeah.
right?
Just
Bro, I feel
some
like I'm
improvement.
fighting 3 people all at once, right? Because I'm looking here, he's
Yeah.
there. I'm looking over here, he's over there. I'm looking over here, he's over there.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just gonna punch for the one in the middle.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna punch for the one in the
punch
middle.
where you think he gonna be.
Bro, not one punch lands, right?
Wow.
So after the 3 rounds, like I said, he whoops my ass so bad, right, up and down that ring, and I get out, and I'm frustrated, I'm mad, I'm like, bro, I didn't come in here to be no body bag, I didn't come in here to be no
Yeah.
punching bag. Like, what is this? Like, why'd you guys set me up? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like this is how you run your gym? This is dumb,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, we saw exactly what we wanted to see. And I was just like, what? You saw me get beat up by a Hall of Fame world champion? Like,
Right.
yeah, clearly, right?
Right.
So after they're like, nah, don't worry about it. Like you showed heart. You didn't step back. He didn't drop you. Also, right? Like I don't think. Look,
Wow.
listen, pause. Zab Judah, bro. Shout out to you. Like I don't think you were going 110% on me clearly, but I clearly he was giving me the work, right?
But that's still cold because like those nerves of sparring,
Yes.
you had like not only your first day sparring, but now you're stepping in there with, Zab Judah.
Yeah.
And it's like, those nerves. So
Yeah.
when you got done sparring,
Yeah.
what, I guess, how did you stay dedicated to it? I mean, after something like that,
Yeah.
it's like something in you that you'll sit and be like, damn, like, is this for me?
Right.
Should I keep doing this?
Right.
Like, maybe I'll just, cut back a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
how did you continue? What was that mindset like to push you? Was it somebody that told you to keep going,
Yeah.
or, who were the influences on that in that
Gotcha.
moment?
So honestly, one of the biggest things was like I said, when I got out that ring, I was frustrated, and they told me, they were like, come back, and I told them, I was like, nah, fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? You want me to go? Like, you want me to come back just to keep being a body bag? Like, this isn't worth it. Like, what's it worth? My brain health? I don't want to talk like I'm slurring for the rest of my life.
Right.
So I went home that day, and I made sure not to see my boys. Right?
Right.
I made
Because
sure not
he
to-
was the main one saying, "Nah, don't do it."
Yeah, I was like, you know what? He sees me like this,
Yeah.
he's gonna be the first one to say,
Yeah,
I told you.
Yeah,
Yo.
that's funny.
So I sat with myself that night, and I'm sitting there, and dude, at the time I was like this little hoodlum, bro. Like I swear to you, like, so I'm there, I'm just like, sitting there playing video games, smoking weed, whatever. I'm in my head. And funny enough, I'm playing like a fight night game, Fight Night World Champion, Fight Night Champions, right? So I'm playing video games, I'm playing a boxing game, and like the dude I'm playing, I guess for whatever reason, I wasn't on my A game. I kept getting knocked out in the game too,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just like, I was like, nah, bro, this is bullshit. Like I'm not like that. Like I'm not one to quit, right? Like I've always been one where I've been like the underdog in every single sport. I'm not the biggest person, right? But I do have heart. I do try, and I do put all the effort I can into being the best I can, right?
Right.
So they told me to come back that next day, and surely enough, I walked back in. I was pissed, but like I walked in, I was like, all right, what are we doing today? I'm not sparring.
Yeah.
I'm not sparring.
Yeah.
I was like, y'all gonna
No
teach
more of
me
that,
something?
yeah.
And they were like, honestly, the biggest test was seeing if you would walk back in the next day. And surely enough, I did. And shout out to Pasquale Liano, Coach Pat. Started working with me. He was one of my first coaches. Also, Hector Rocas, rest in peace. He's one of my first coaches. Hall of Fame coach also. He's worked with the Charlo brothers. He's worked with some of the best in New York. I was blessed enough to surely work with some of the legends in New York with that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
but so yeah, I just walked back in. I just had that chip on my shoulder. I didn't want to be that kid who quit, and also I didn't want to be that kid who couldn't fight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah, I can naturally street fight, but anybody can. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, it's
It's a
different.
science to it. I
Yeah,
mean, you're not gonna. It's almost like karate,
yeah,
a little bit, where it's
yeah.
like just the angles and the
Yes,
patience and just the
yes,
fighting
yes, yes,
IQ
yes.
of just watching somebody and being like, okay, I know what you're about to do.
Right.
I mean, if you don't know that, you can't stop it
No,
because you
right.
don't know what's going on. They have this
Exactly.
a whole chessboard being ran on you.
100%.
Um, when did you start competing?
Shortly after that, actually. So when I first, like, from the first day to, the second day, and like when I fully started like training every day, I actually competed very shortly after that, about 6, 7 months after.
Oh wow.
And funny enough, I never wanted to compete. I told them honestly, I just want to do this because it's a good workout. It's something that I really enjoy doing. Like, I'm bettering myself. Like, I didn't think of myself ever becoming a fighter at any point in my life.
Yeah.
I personally just loved the grind of it, and finally, after about 6 months of it, my coach like came up to me, or it was about 5 months because he told me a month before I actually fought.
Mhm.
He came up to me and he's like, I signed you up for the New York Golden Gloves.
Wow.
And for those of you that might not know, the New York Golden Gloves is one of the most prestigious amateur tournaments in the United States, other than California, Nevada, and Texas also. Other states, shout out to you guys as well. You create some great boxers, but some of the hotbeds in the United States are California,
Yep.
Nevada, and New York,
Mhm.
right? You get some of the like world's best boxers out of there,
Yeah.
and surely enough, same old thing. Like from the first day, like bro, my nerves started coming up, and I told my coach, I was like, Coach, I don't want to compete. This is something I'm just doing because I love the workout. This is something I want to just do because I just it's a good grind. And my mom doesn't even fully know this story. She didn't even know that I started competing until like I don't know how long after. Like
Wow.
my mom didn't know that I was fighting until maybe like 2 years after I started training.
Wow.
Yeah, because her and I's communication at the time after I got kicked out of school and kicked out of home and everything was kind of on and off, and I didn't really get to see her too much. And living in Brooklyn when she was in Long Island,
Yeah.
it was just we were always separated. So
Yeah.
I was fighting, and she had no idea. And honestly, Mom, if you're listening to this, surprise, you feel me? Um, but
How,
yeah, so
so how did she react to that?
uh, well, she came to one of my fights in New York City over at, I can't remember the actual venue, but it was a really nice venue. It was under Jackhammer Promotions,
Mhm.
and surely enough, the one fight she actually came to, I actually lost. It was funny. So
Wow.
she was like, "I don't want you to do it.
Ah,
This
right.
is so like, you know what I mean?" And
Yeah.
it was just it just like unfolded that way too, because it was a fight that I took like super last minute. It was a fight I took on a week's notice, and I had to cut 22 pounds.
Right.
And yo, when I tell you, like fighters, if you're listening to this, anybody who's looking to get into any type of martial art that involves weight cutting, do it smart. I learned my lesson that time, and I made sure that like anytime I fought after that, thank God I haven't lost since then. But um, I made sure you got to do it the smart way, because I ended up cutting like 22 pounds in like 4 days, and it just drained me. And that entire fight, pretty sure it's still out on YouTube if anybody wants to go watch. I'm working with the guy, I'm fighting him. I knocked him down in the first round, and the second round he just threw a good flurry of punches. I didn't get dropped or nothing like that, but the ref, he called it, and I was frustrated, but at the same time I was exhausted. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you know how it is.
Yeah.
Brandon, I've seen you fight, dog.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been in your corner, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know how
You
it is
was in
when
my
you're in
corner
there.
for my
Yeah,
first fight.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Shout
I,
out to Brandon, aka Brazil, dog. Like,
yeah.
he yeah. So you get it. You get
Yeah.
it.
It's
The
sometimes
gas.
it's just like you can't when you gassed out, man. It's
Uh-huh.
nothing that you can do. It's
Right.
almost like you in survival mode. You're just like trying
Exactly.
to move and
Right.
get out of there and
Right.
catch your breath. So
Right.
yeah, I get
So
it for sure.
yeah, it was definitely a good experience and a good learning lesson that time. But yeah, so got into it. Honestly, just I never planned on it, but here I am to this day.
So how did you transition into being a coach?
So honestly, that same gym that I had told you that I had started training at with my coaches and everything, the owner, he needed some help with like the kids classes and everything. And one day he comes up to me after me knowing like a decent amount. He had told me, he was just like, "Hey Dylan, like we've got some kids in this class, and we need some help doing these kids classes. So would you be down to start like coaching these kids classes?
Right.
And at first, I'm just like, I'm like I didn't feel too confident in myself as a coach. Like I only know so much as a fighter, and then let alone I'm working with kids, which are a lot more. It takes a lot more to work with them than adults, of course, right? So I was like, honestly, I'd prefer not to. But if you really do need the help, you guys have done everything for me. You've put a roof over my head. You guys have like welcomed me in through your doors. So it's the least I could do. Surely after that, like it just became a passion, honestly. Like knowing that boxing saved my life. It truly did. Like had I never started boxing, I'd probably be in a ditch somewhere. I was involved with some bad people. I was dealing drugs at the time. It was horrible. It was horrible the life that I was living, and boxing was my way out. I was living in Brooklyn, and
Yeah.
Brooklyn at the time it was starting to kind of clean up, but like it was still sketchy in the areas that I was in. I lived
That's
in
a rough.
Flatbush. I
Oh,
lived in I
Flatbush.
lived in Bushwick, and then towards the end of my time living in Brooklyn, I ended up moving up to Greenpoint, which is a nicer area,
Mhm.
but at the time that I was living there, it was pretty sketchy. So
Yeah.
like knowing the people that I was around, the people I was dealing with, the people that like I was hanging out with, it I'd probably be like in a ditch somewhere dead. Who knows? But honestly, boxing truly did save my life. Yeah.
It sounds like from the beginning, even a little bit before boxing, all the way into the end, you've been taken through this like emotional roller coaster and been put through these challenges that it's just kind of thrown, in front of you. What what do you feel was one of the biggest adversities that you had to go through that maybe gave you a different outlook on life or
Mm.
just, you know, switched your mindset?
Yeah.
Because I listening to you, it's like from the moment you stepped in, you had to spar Zab Judah.
Right.
You got kicked out.
Hmm.
Working at Panera Bread, you
Yeah.
went through depression.
Hmm.
I mean, what was the biggest thing for you that really, really gave you a solid mindset?
I think the feeling of always being counted out, always being like the underdog and everything. I've always been a good competitor. Anybody I grew up with can tell you that. I've always been an athlete. Competing with some of the best guys in our district and our school, competing for the top spot, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But honestly, one of the biggest like turning points in my entire career was something that happened more recently. Um, you know, I I ended up having a heart attack last year,
Wow.
and I don't know if you remember, but it actually happened there at the arena.
Did it?
Yeah, yeah, it was in the middle of sparring also.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like one of the craziest experiences, and honestly, had it not been for my girl, I'd probably be dead. Like she was the reason why I went to the hospital that day, because I went into the like after the sparring. Basically, I'll start from the top. So I'd gone into sparring that day, and the pros there at the arena, they're all dogs.
Right.
We got Kyle, we got Jose, we got Habin, we've got others. I can't. Oh, Ulysses, shout out to you guys. Speaking of, they're fighting April 18th over in Oceanside or at the Front Rave Arena. So if anybody's watching, please go check them out. It's going to be on Top Rank. Local fighters, San Diego. Great talents, great training partners. Shout out to Coach Joe Vargas, one of my coaches, Hall of Fame coaches. You know him, Brandon.
Yep. My
One of the
coach too.
best coaches ever,
Yep.
right? One of your coaches also.
Yep.
So if you guys have a chance, go check them out April 18th over at the Front Rave Arena. But yeah, so one day I was there sparring, and you know this is when I had kind of just got back into training full time, and I was kind of training extremely compared to what my body could take, because at the time I think I was like 210 pounds or something like that.
Wow.
And these other guys, they're in tip top shape, they're in fight shape, and they're dogs, right? Um, so I was in the middle of sparring, and there was like this kid. He was a national champion who came in from Mexico, undefeated fighter. And then also there's Kyle Irwin. Shout out to Kyle. He's a dog. And then there was this other kid. I can't remember him, but I'm pretty sure he was like from up in Temecula. And Temecula has some good boxers there too. And we're doing round robin. And as you know, round robin, one fighter stays in, another fighter comes in, another fighter comes in. It's almost like Shark Tank to an
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
So it was my turn where I was gonna be, in the ring, and at the time, I'm doing my thing. It's I think I was doing a total of 9 rounds that day,
Yeah.
and it was, after 6 rounds, I'm like exhausted, But as you know, Joe, He's like, what? You want to get out?
Yeah.
You fucking tired, dog? Like,
Right.
and as you know, Joe, like he's like, I can't look like no bitch in front of
Yeah,
him. You feel
yeah.
me?
I'm
Like
like,
I
no,
was
I'm
just like, I
not
was like,
tired.
no, I'm good, coach.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm there, and this is the 6th round going into the 7th, and I have a video of it on my Instagram too, explaining it all. But I'm there in the corner, and he's talking to me, and I'm like rubbing my chest, and he's like, what's wrong? And I was just like, I feel like there's this bubble in my chest. I feel like there's this hole in my chest right now. He's like, well, why don't you get out? And he was actually saying it out of like, like being like caring in that
Right.
way, not trying to like test me that way.
Right.
Like he knew, like obviously he didn't want his fighter to like hurt himself in any way. So I told him, I was like, no, coach, I'm fine. Honestly, it's really not that bad. It just really feels uncomfortable, but I'm good. I'm good. Like I can do my thing. He's like, all right, bet. So as that's starting to go on, he goes off. He had already given me my water and everything, and I'm about to go into the 7th and 8th round after that. So adrenaline just kicks in, and I'm just going crazy these last 2 rounds, like against this national champion and this other kid from Temecula, but also Kyle as well, just trying to survive at that point,
Yeah.
trying to put in some work,
Right.
and sparring finishes. And after that sparring session, we're saying thank you to each other. Everybody, how they take pictures after sparring and all that. We're taking our pictures, everything, and as we're there, I walk away. And bro, when I tell you, as I'm walking away, I was really trying to play it cool. Like I actually have the footage from the arena security cameras, right? Because I remember looking at it like a few days later. But as I'm walking away, this pain in my chest just like went from what it was already at
Yeah.
to just expanding throughout my chest, and like I felt like a little bit of like intensity on my left arm too. I couldn't even move my left arm, and bro, I was just walking, and you see me like I'm walking like my arm is dangling,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't walk straight. But I'm like, nah, I'm gonna thug it out. You know what I mean? Like I don't need my coach seeing me like this. I don't need my teammates seeing me like this. I don't need nobody like seeing me like this in general.
Yeah.
So I walk away, and all of a sudden, like it really starts to set in,
Ooh.
and all this pain is just building up, building up, building up, and I can barely breathe. Like I'm just
That must be
like
terrifying.
it was scary, bro. So afterwards, I grabbed my things, and I don't want nobody to see me like that there in the gym. Like, this isn't a place for that. So I walk over to my car, and I'm sitting in my car, and my girl's in the other part of the gym. She's doing her lift, and she's getting her work in. And I'm sitting in my car with my arm on top of the steering wheel, and my head's on the steering wheel. And I'm in there for probably about like 10, 15 minutes until she comes in.
Yeah.
And I'm just there trying to control my breathing. I'm just like hyperventilating damn near. So she comes into the car, and she's like, baby, what's wrong? What's happening? I was like, oh, I just got this pain in my chest. Like, I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Like, I think it was just from sparring too hard. Like, I'll be good. I'll be good. So I start telling her my symptoms, and she's in school to be a doctor right now. And like, immediately she's like, I'm taking your ass to the emergency room.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Like,
Damn.
I don't got no health insurance. I can't afford this. Like, this is gonna be crazy. She goes, I don't care. I'm taking you right now.
Yeah.
So she drags my ass over to the emergency room, right? And I get in there, and they're admitting me, and like they're just asking me all these questions. They do a chest scan, whatever, all this stuff. And I'm thinking like, oh, okay, cool. They're gonna let me go immediately.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, and they're just like, okay, like we're just gonna need you to like let whoever you need to know that we're admitting you, and you're gonna have your room, and you're gonna be here for a few days. I'm like, what you talking about? I'm gonna be here for a few days. They're like, yes. When it comes to like anywhere in the chest, we take it very seriously. But also, your age, you're pretty young. We don't want to take any chances. But as you know, I don't know the exact medical term for it, but they were basically telling me I had a minor heart attack.
Wow.
And I'm in my head, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Like just spinning.
Spinning, like, bro, like the room had just like everything had gone black, and the only person in front of me was the nurse telling me what was going on. And I'm there, and I'm scared, and it was one of the scariest feelings. But after that, going back to kind of what you had asked me, like what the turning point and everything was, what my why is like, it made me realize that it could have turned out way worse. And I'm a man of God, and it made me realize like this is all part of God's plan. Like this is all part of the fact that He put this trial and tribulation in front of me, all these trials and tribulations, getting kicked out of school, going through depression, dealing with the people that I was dealing with, living the life that I was living in New York, bringing me out here to San Diego, giving me a better life, and still giving me things, giving me obstacles to jump over. after that, it was just the biggest eye opener, you know, and it made me realize like I got to take this more seriously because I have this God given talent and I have no reason to waste my talent. It's just a waste, you know. So after that, it was like one of the biggest eye opening experiences, and it made me want to just lock in on boxing, lock in on coaching, and as I've built a good following, a good fan base on Instagram, from people and anybody watching like giving me support. And not only is this for me, but it's for everybody. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than boxing. This is bigger than my family. This is bigger than everything. This is for not just me, but this is for the person out there doubting themselves. This is for my family that's struggling down in Texas. This is for myself, the younger version of me. Because like he's watching me and he's just, I know he's proud. And I know he expects more too. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I push every day to go better. Bro, honestly, if I remember correctly, I think I saw you on my way out that day too.
Did you?
Yeah, when I was walking out to the car, because I think you were taking a class or you were sparring also or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But when I was walking out to the car, bro, I was playing it cool, bro. Like I literally I was like I was walking out to the car. I was like, yo, what's good, dog? Like I'm just like dapping people up. I'm
Oh,
saying bye to
man.
my coach. Like,
Yeah.
and it's funny because genuinely I was scared that somebody was gonna realize like I was going through it. And this is where like the ego of being a
Yeah.
man and just like I got it, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna rub some dirt in it, kind
Yeah,
of feeling,
And it's such a thin line because you
Yeah.
want to push yourself to a point of you want to push your limits a little bit.
Yeah.
You want to be the best version of you, but it's like a weird twilight zone because you don't know your limits until
Right.
you're pushed to them, and
Right.
then you're like extremely stressed, you go
Yeah.
through health problems, and it starts to burden your life, and then you have to pull back and go, okay, that's my limit.
Yep.
But
Yep.
like how you said, God doesn't give us um, anything that we can't handle.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So what's next for you?
So right now, I'm actually in talks with a few promoters down in South Texas, where my family's from. My uncle, I've been blessed. Theo Rick, if you're watching this, I'm sure you are. I've been blessed at the fact that he knows a bunch of people down there that would help me with my career, but also people here in San Diego. I have numerous amounts of opportunities. I've had the opportunity, like I said, to train with Coach Joe Vargas. Now I'm still with Joe, but also I'm training up with Sergio Zaragoza currently, one of my former coaches, current coach also.
Yeah.
Shout out to AZ Boxing. He has some great promotions and connections. So hopefully in late April, early May, we're in negotiations about fighting in Sonora
Wow.
down in Mexico, setting up a few fights down there, and then potentially getting some fights down in South Texas to represent the RGV, the 956. So that way I can, represent home, but also represent Dago while I'm at it too. You know what I mean? Like, I was born, raised over there, raised in New York, but I'm fighting out of Dago at the moment. I want to make sure I'm basically just putting the city on the map, as well as all of our local talented fighters. Yeah. So right now I'm training hard. I'm, working towards getting back in there, and that's actually the purpose of one of my Instagrams that I've created. It's called Road to Glory. Road to Glory 7. If you guys are listening, you want to give me a follow, check out my story. The purpose is my road to glory, right? From my whole entire life story. I've been, you know, from the trenches, and I'm trying to make my way to the top. Provide for not only myself but my family, but also for those who are living a hard life. I want God to basically use my pockets to be able to help others. Not just myself. So that's one of my biggest goals in this life. And honestly, one of the reasons why I'm still able to still chase this dream is because one of my sponsors currently, his name's Robert Sullivan. He is one of the most gracious men that I've ever met. And honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in this position that I am to this day. He's supported me in some of my journey so far, financially and just emotionally and everything. He's given me a lot of feedback on what I could do with my career, on what I could be bigger than as a not just a boxer but as a man. And shout out to him. He's the lead singer of a band called Sullivan. Maybe someday you guys can have him on this show. He's really great. He currently came out with a album with, if I can remember, oh God, he was the lead singer of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Mm,
I cannot remember his name right now, but they had just came out with a few songs together. I think they came out with an album also.
yeah.
But he his band is called Sullivan, Sullvn.
Hmm.
If you guys want to give him a follow on Instagram, it's at Sullivan Music. He's one of the he's I think he's really God sent. I think he's an angel that was God sent to me and gave me the opportunity to still be in this path because financially he's helped me a lot, supported my journey, um, and just chase my dreams. And that's really what this is about. Is I wanna do this, like I said, more for than just me.
Yeah.
It's for everybody who believes in me, for everybody who's watching, anybody who's listening. If you've ever doubted yourself, it ain't over till it's over, you know. And I've been in those positions where I've been in like the deepest holes of my life where, you know, I thought it was over. I thought there was no tomorrow. And, you know, as you know, every day's a gift from God, and because of that, it allows me to still, you know, push through and chase my dreams and my dream of becoming world champion.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
Man, your story is it's inspiring, man.
appreciate you.
That's wow. You have a hell of a story, man.
Yeah,
Well, I appreciate you coming to IB Radio.
yeah,
And whenever you have a fight or anything, feel free to come back.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely. I would love to.
we'll love to have you again, and whoever Sullivan or
Yes, Sullivan, Sullvn is the name of his band, but uh, we call him Sully.
yeah.
Yeah, Sully, he's the man. He does a bunch of shows up in Encinitas area. If I currently remember correctly, he has a show over at the Fiesta del Sol. That's happening, I believe, in June. I cannot remember exactly what the date is, but man is super talented. He has his own morning talk show host on KUSI Fox 5 News as well.
Oh wow.
He's just a man of many talents, honestly. Sully, if you're watching this, dog, like keep me in your ring, bro. You got so much to teach me, and I've got so much to learn from you. And one of these days, I'd love to connect him with you guys. I think he'd be a great interview here. And with what he's got going on, he's doing his thing. He just came out with a song. It's called "Raise a Glass," and it's a great song. He also made an album with Rome Ramirez, who's a former part of Sublime.
Ooh,
Yeah. So Rome Ramirez was also part of Sublime,
yeah.
and it's really cool what he's got going on. It's really cool what he's got going on. Very talented man, amazing, hell of a singer. I'm sure you guys could connect, and he'd get a great interview with you guys too.
Yeah, we'll definitely check them out.
Yeah. I'd love to connect them with you guys.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, man.
Brandon, my man,
All
appreciate you,
right.
dog. I appreciate you.